Oh, hey, yeah, this is still a thing. Welcome, guys, to the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. Episode whatever at this point, I think 73, something crazy like that. But
Something like that.
as always, I'm joined by my lovely and beautiful co-host, Allie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm really good. I saw Uncharted at the theater, which was
That's good.
actually pretty good.
I'll review that soon.
If you guys want to check out my Letterboxd review, I'm AllieCat_XO. But yeah, other than that, I just chilled today.
That's good. We like having a nice chill day, and we like when things surprise us. But unfortunately, we're going to be talking about something that does neither of those things.
No.
Let's get into Celebrity Big Brother 3, because obviously we have not been reviewing this show on a week-to-week basis like we anticipated.
We started it, but then we lost track.
Yeah, we completely fell off, and I'll just be transparent with you guys. The only reason that we're continuing right now is because the fact that this is a short season. Because if this was an actual full season of Big Brother, the normal 80-something day length, I would have tapped out, because my God, did this go downhill fast.
It was awful.
Before we get into everything, Allie, what do you think about just the downfall of this season?
I mean, it had potential, but
yeah,
honestly, after the first week, it went really downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised that it went in the direction that it did, because of just how lackluster a lot of this cast was initially.
I will say, obviously, I won't rate, it's not as low as BB19, 21, 22.
No.
Something like that.
I think it's right above those for me.
Yeah, and 16, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was boring.
16 had a way more likable cast.
Yeah. So I wouldn't rate it super low, but it's definitely down there.
Yeah, I think for sure this is probably at this point very bottom tier Big Brother for me. And what sucks is that it didn't have to go this way. What I think is so the most egregious thing about this entire bulk of episodes we're talking about, which, spoilers, there's not a lot to discuss at this point.
Yeah, but we finally caught up from last Sunday up until the double eviction. Yeah. So we're just going to be talking about a few points here and there. Nothing really crazy.
We're not going to go beat for beat. Oh, this happened and this happened, because a lot of it, to be honest with you, just isn't that important. And it also just isn't that interesting to talk about.
It's really boring.
What I was going to say is that it didn't have to go this way, because the way things started out, at least from the beginning of the first week we're talking about, actually started off on a high. We have this moment where everyone, they're doing the classic wall comp, and it really was just a matter of, this is what we were saying, because we were actually watching the feeds. As long as Misha or Todrick do not win this, well, obviously, Misha can't win. She was the outgoing HOH. But as long as Todrick doesn't win this, we'll be good. It'll be a good outcome no matter what. And, I thought Shayna was maybe going to take it, but she falls off pretty early. But Carson ends up winning HOH here. And it's a great moment when he wins HOH, because it feels like, oh my God, the other side has power. This is what we always talk about in Big Brother. It's we want that other side to get power. But you know what it felt like to me, Allie? And I feel like this is a really good comparison. It very much reminded me of when Fessy was in power in Big Brother 20, and there was this very obvious lie that was planted to him. But here's the thing.
That's very true, because right after both, they apologized and gave hugs and stuff.
But here's the thing. I think even that lie makes more sense than what we ended up getting here. Yeah. Because we'll just get into it right now. I mean, it seems like for a little bit that Carson's just going to do what we expect and just put up Miesha. But then Todrick realizes, oh shit, we're probably leaving this round. And there's not really much
he should have just put up. If he wasn't easily manipulated, he could have put up Todrick and Miesha.
Well, I'm going to get into that. But basically, Todrick comes up with this lie where he's basically going to try to convince them. Now, this part is true. Like, I do want to say, like, this isn't a full lie. Some of what he was saying was based in fact, because he starts off talking about how Shayna was playing both sides. And how they need to take her out because she's in the best like position and things like that. And this is true. Like, there's really not much he needs to do to convince Carson of that because it's true. Shayna has been playing both sides. Shayna has very much been floating, but she drew that line in the sand last week. And you can see this is not enough for Carson. He's like, you know what? I get it, but I don't really care. She's with us now. So Todrick takes it a step further. And this is where things get completely insane. Like, legitimately, some of the most baffling gameplay I think I've ever seen in Big Brother happens here, where he concocts this really stupid lie that somehow Shayna was the person that, and remember, Shayna saved Carson with the veto.
Yep.
Let's remind ourselves of that.
She didn't have to.
No, she didn't have to. She absolutely could have just left the noms the same. It wouldn't have affected her either way. But like, it probably would have gone better for her in retrospect. But you know, he comes up with this lie that somehow after, even though she saved Carson with the veto, she was the person who initiated him being a target. She was the person who threw his name out, and she's been talking shit about them since day one. And that lie in itself is really fucking stupid. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would she save Carson if she wanted him to go? I just don't, right off the bat, like, I don't really understand how anyone would believe this unless they just simply don't understand Big Brother, which I have to come to the conclusion that Carson and Cynthia just don't understand the game of Big Brother.
I'm gonna say the only people that really like understand were like Kirkpatrick and Shayna.
Yeah, no, literally, like, those two understood Big Brother very well. They, especially when it came to the like floating aspect, I feel like that's something that gets very overlooked because a lot of people like to say floater instead of coaster, which they're two completely different things. Like, those two understood the floater strategy, like working with both sides and then picking a side when the time is right. That's exactly what they did. I think they both did a really good job at that. It's just one of them had to go, and Kirkpatrick wanted to be the sacrificial lamb. So, you know, basically, so even though this lie doesn't really make a lot of sense, for some reason, they believe it. They believe
I know. It's so frustrating.
This lie. And I was just like, what are you doing? And here's the thing. Carson, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Carson was HOH. He was in a position where everyone seemed to want Shayna out. He really couldn't do much here. He kind of just had to go with the house and, you know, target Shayna. Cynthia is who I'm really disappointed in because Cynthia doesn't even give her a word in edgewise. She's like trying to defend herself. She's trying to talk about how, you know, she was on their side. And Cynthia's like, well, no, you were still doing this and you were still going against us. And it's just like, I legitimately just don't understand Cynthia's game after this. Like,
I like Cynthia as a person and everything. Just her game is honestly probably the most disappointing.
Her game is just so confusing because I just don't understand how she feels this is a good move for her. Shayna is someone who, she brings it up, has been coaching Carson and Cynthia the entire game. She was explaining the game to them because there were a lot of things that they just didn't understand, which is understandable. You know, they're not necessarily fans of the show. So like she was trying to, you know, get them to understand things about Big Brother. And she did, again, something she did not have to do, similar to saving Carson. She did not have to do it. And yet for some reason, Cynthia is just so steadfast on the fact that like, no, you betrayed us and we can't trust you and things like that. How did we get here, Allie? Like, how did this happen?
Like, this game went so wrong.
Yeah, like for me, this is absolutely like the nail in the coffin. This was the moment where I'm like, there's no saving this season. Like I was worried after Mirai left that like this was really gonna go downhill. But this was the moment where like we had an opportunity to shake things up. We really could have done something great here. Misha or Todrick could have gone. It would have been a great move for either side. The whole game would have changed in that way. It would have been very similar to Big Brother 18. Remember Big Brother 18 where Paulie was like really running the show, seemed like he was always getting his way?
I actually will say I like 18. I
don't, and it's mainly because of the pre-jury.
I think it's actually like I honestly thought the gameplay was good.
I wasn't big on a lot of the
And my
personalities.
girl won.
I wasn't big on a lot of the.
I just think with her, like, I feel like people overlook her.
We're not talking about that right now. We're gonna get back to CBB3. When it comes to I don't want to go on a whole thing about Big Brother 18. You guys can look at my reviews of Big Brother 18. I'm not a big fan of that season, but it's similar to me where like this could have been something like one thing I liked about Big Brother 18 was that you had someone like Paulie who was in power so much in the pre-jury, and then when the time was right, they got him out, and the whole game changed after that. I wanted to see something like that here. And instead, we basically just gave Misha and Todrick what they wanted. This was yet another thing that ended up going their way. And I was hoping for some kind of miracle that like there was not going to be a backdoor here for Shayna, that they would be able to rekindle things, because they didn't show this on the show, but like they did apologize to Shayna. They did tell Shayna, like, we're sorry for not believing you, and yet still backdoored her after all of that. And I just didn't understand.
Oh, I hated that so much.
Because again, like, this is Carson's HOH. He doesn't have to put up Shayna if he legitimately doesn't want to. If it's not good for his game, like, don't put her up. He could have put up Todd. He could have put up Lamar. Like, there were so many other options here. I don't know why he ended up going with Shayna, and I think this ruined a lot of the momentum of the game. It not only fucks up his game, it fucks up Lamar's game, it fucks up Cynthia's game. Hell, I'll say, I mean, Todd wasn't really with her, but it even fucks up Todd's game a bit, because after this, there really is no opposition. It really is just Shayna leaves, and everyone else just kind of gets picked off after that. And it's really unfortunate, because
it's really frustrating.
I don't think it had to go this way. I think this is one of those moves. And I know people are saying like, oh, Shayna's overhyped and things like that because she didn't get to the end. But she didn't get to the end not because of anything she did. It's because she was taken out by people that fundamentally just did not understand Big Brother. Like,
That's true.
Let's not get it twisted here. Shayna did not have anything to do with this. Todrick needed something to get out of a situation in which it seemed basically unsolvable. Like, this did not seem like something he could get himself out of. And he came up with this idea. It didn't really make sense, and somehow they went along with it. And that's exactly what fucked Shayna over. So I do think this is going to be one of those things that, like, when it comes to Big Brother, we're always going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what if Shayna isn't targeted here, because I think the rest of this endgame plays out completely differently from what we ended up getting. But unfortunately, not much changes here. Todrick wins the veto. Also, can I just talk about how fucking awful the comps have been this season? Like, I have not been into really any of them. I said this to Allie, and like, am I crazy, or have the majority of these comps been like spot the difference?
I mean, I will say I kind of like that movie one they had that we just watched.
I did. It was super easy.
I mean, I wish it was a little bit tougher, but I mean, it was a fun one at least.
I actually didn't think it was. I mean, like, the idea of it's fun.
Like, I just thought, I thought the idea and like the concept was kind of cool. Like, with all the
there's some cool ideas, but like, I just feel like the comps have either been way too easy or they've been way too similar. Like, they have just not been interesting to watch. And like Big Brother, a lot of the time the comps are just kind of but like this time around, like what I've liked about other Celebrity Big Brother seasons is that they've tried to do like different comps and things like that. And this season, it's like they came up with like the easiest shit possible. It's like they didn't even really want to put that much effort into it, and all of the comps have really just kind of sucked. But Todrick does win the veto, obviously, and here's the move of this episode. He does not save Misha at this point. He actually saves Todd, which I didn't understand this at all. Like, what was the point of him saving Todd and not Misha? I didn't really get this.
I feel like he was just like, I need to like have good jury management, but then he ruins that.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't even like tried to have good jury management, because everyone he's talked to in such a demeaning way, and then he talks shit about them after they leave and seems to forget about the fact that, oops, they don't go to the jury house. They get to watch it all on the feeds like we do. And I don't think he seems to remember that at all. I do want to touch upon that at the end, is like how much different a jury vote changes from when you're seeing it at home to when you're in the house. Because I think we're definitely going to see that.
In this, it's because like they can actually see what's been said.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but basically, Misha's on the block, and I was like, "This is the moment! Like, just get her out! Like, she's right there. Just take her out." Everybody, and here's the thing: is like, I get that, like, you have Todd and Lamar who have been working with her, but Misha does not benefit them at this point. She's
not at all.
The majority of the
I will say when Lamar was taking time to vote, that was funny.
Oh, that was great. Lamar is just such a fun character, and I feel like we needed, for me, like Lamar's more of what we needed in this season. Like, this is a guy that quite literally, I mean, he doesn't give any fucks. Like, he keeps it real every time.
Like Lamar like hates Todrick.
Yeah, he doesn't like Todrick at all. When he doesn't like something, especially, he's very blunt about it.
When he had to be attached to him, I feel for him.
Yeah, but I feel like he did it in such a way to where like it was endearing to watch, and he never really ruffled any feathers. And he was just like fun to watch, and I feel like we needed more of that this season. And we kind of had that with like Carson. Like, I think Carson was overall a fun character, but I think for me that's what this season has been lacking. We don't have a lot of fun characters. That's why I like Celebrity Big Brother 1 so much, because it was really just filled with all these like fun personalities that didn't really care as much about the game. They just wanted to have fun, and you had fun with them. And I feel like this season, it's like the complete opposite. Like, these people are just, they don't know what they're doing. They don't seem to have a clear head about anything that involves thinking. They really don't seem to be good at that at all. But again, I'm going on a tangent here. Shayna is, of course, evicted, and it's very sad to see, because I feel like this really, again, could have opened up the game more if Shayna would have stayed, but unfortunately that is not the case, and she's obviously very baffled of the decision by Carson and Cynthia. Basically said that they were done here, that they really had no chance. And I mean, do you think that there was a chance that Carson and Cynthia could have maybe like improved their positioning after this?
I mean, I wish. But like, honestly, it was like tough to go back on. But I feel they were probably like, yeah, we definitely fucked up.
You want my honest answer?
What?
Fuck no. Like, generally, like there was no coming back from this. Like, this is one of those moves that is game ending for both of them. And I get it. Like, when you're in the house, like sometimes you don't always have the clearest head. Sometimes you don't always have a chance to like really think about, these decisions, especially when it's an accelerated season. But like, they should have known that like this did not make sense for them to keep Shayna, especially over someone like Todd or Lamar, who has been vehemently against those two from like the beginning. Like, even obviously, maybe Misha doesn't go. Well, okay, put up one of Todd or Lamar. Like, I just didn't understand this at all. So basically, the next week plays out, and Misha does not win HOH, actually, which was a nice change of pace. Todd wins HOH here, and not really much of a change, because at this point, Todd's just kind of doing their bidding.
I will say he definitely grew on me more in these last few rounds.
Yeah, he did grow on me. My biggest issue with Todd, though, is that I feel like he waited way too long to like start playing an individual game. Like, I said this to you when we were watching the episode. Like, if he was, let's say, like if this was a normal season of Big Brother and we had people that were actually making rational decisions and like thinking about the game, I think his strategy could work a lot. The problem is he just waited way too long. Like, sadly, it's important to understand like the vibe of the cast, and I don't think Todd really did that. Like, Todd was trying to play this like super low key game, and it just really did not work for him in the end. Because he basically does just do what Misha and Todrick tell him to do with this. He puts up Lamar and Carson. Obviously, Misha's very adamant about getting Carson out. Carson does put up a pretty good fight to stay here, but at this point, there isn't really much that he can do, and that's why I'm not going to talk too much about this week. there just wasn't really much Carson could do to really save himself here. He does talk to Todrick about maybe voting with like him and Miesha if they're able to survive this week and things like that. And this is another one of my biggest issues with like Todrick's game is that he really hasn't tried to be adaptable at all. Same with Miesha. I think they both kind of suffer from the same issues that they've always just kind of like stuck together and not really try to work with anyone outside of that. And I just think that's very flawed gameplay in my opinion, because, and the reason why that's an issue for me, it's not because of the fact that it's like, I always say like it's good to have like that one solid ally that like you can bond with, but like what if something goes horribly wrong and that ally goes, you have no one at that point because you didn't try to make those other key connections. And I think that both of them should have tried to work on that. You know, Miesha should have put more effort into Chip Skylar. Todrick should have put more effort into his connection with Carson. Like they both could have done stuff and they didn't. And that's why this is just such a lackluster season in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, it's just not good at all.
What?
It's just not good at all.
No, it's really not. Like, I don't even think their games are that special. Like, I see people on Twitter, like, really praising Miesha, and I'm just kind of like, Miesha just got lucky. Like, literally, Miesha ended up with a cast that just didn't understand the game at all and knew that
if they were smart, they would have gone for her week 2.
No, literally, like, that's why Miesha's still here. Like, make no mistake, this is not anything that Miesha did. Miesha's here because the cast is just blatantly incompetent at Big Brother. And that really helped her because she was able to just kind of get what she wanted always. But anyway, she does, of course, win the veto here. Of course she does. Nothing really changes.
Of course.
Doesn't use the veto. Carson and Lamar remain on the block. And at this point, I didn't really know what was going to happen. There was a possibility that maybe Carson was going to stay, but I think we knew that Carson was probably going to go. Also, why was this episode 2 hours? Like the one with Carson getting evicted. There was really no reason for this episode to be 2 hours.
The Jerry O'Connell interview was so random.
Yeah, like, I don't know why they got him on. Like, it felt like that was like, well, if we do a Celebrity Big Brother 4, which there's not going to be one at this point. Let's not kid ourselves. There's no chance that I think another one is happening. Especially with the way this has gone. I think even the producers like kind of hinted the fact that this might be it for them. But it did feel like, hey, if we ever do a 4th one, let's bring on Jerry O'Connell. And this was like the worst possible interview they could have done. It was so awkward. It very much felt like he's just like a casual fan. He doesn't watch the live feeds. He doesn't really know a lot of what's going on in the game. A lot of the things that he was saying, like he called Cynthia a strong player. He said things, you know, he was like praising everyone's game, never said a negative thing about really anyone. I don't like these kind of interviews. Like they feel so scripted and manufactured to me. It feels like, oh, I'm friends with these people, so I can't say anything bad about their gameplay. No, you can, because they're going to watch this back and like want to hear thoughts on their game. And he didn't say anything constructive. So yeah, I really didn't like this at all. And he was also like, he was pulling for, I forgot who he said he wanted to win, but I was also like, why do you want this person to win? He was pulling for Lamar, which like, okay, I get that. Like I wanted Lamar to very much win at this point as well, because he's the only person that wasn't pissing me off. Yeah, I really didn't like this interview at all. I thought it was completely superfluous.
It was just random as hell.
It really was just here so they could fill the airtime. Like there really was no reason for this to be 2 hours at all. But Carson does end up leaving here, of course, and Cynthia being the only vote, of course, to save him. I will say I did like his line where he said that don't forget there's a meatloaf in the oven. Like I thought that was a pretty iconic line.
Yeah, that was iconic.
And I will say, like, Carson has admitted since he's gotten out of the house to, like, he absolutely fucked up. And, like, he did this to himself. He shot himself in the foot. And I appreciate that. Like, I like when people come out of the house and say, or, you know, Survivor or Big Brother, like, I like it when people come out and say, yeah, I was wrong. I should have done things differently. Like, I think it honestly shows a lot of character when you admit fault when you admit that your game wasn't good, because we don't see that a lot. I feel like in Big Brother and Survivor, a lot of the time people are like, oh, I changed nothing. Carson's like, no, I'd changed a lot of things. And I'm glad that Carson went out of his way to like apologize to Shayna, which he honestly didn't really need to do. Like he could have just talked to her at finale night, but I'm glad that he actually like made an effort to like write an apology to her and everything like that. Really just shows like how good of a guy he was.
I've always been a fan of him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Carson a lot this season. I will say, even with the frustrating gameplay, it does not take away from the fact that I think he was definitely one of the more entertaining people. I think he had some really good professionals, especially just a really fun character all around. Like, I think he's definitely like a lock for like if they ever did like a Second Chances Celebrity Big Brother season, I think he'd probably be on there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, overall, is there anything else we want to say about Carson before we move on to the next week?
I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right, so let's get to this last week here. I
will say, we just kind of skipped the Saturday one because it's just like random clips and stuff.
Yeah, we didn't even bother to watch that because like there's no point.
I think I watched like the little intro and that was it.
There was messages from home and they were reflecting on it. Boom, there you go. That's all you need to know.
Messages, I love the messages from home.
Oh, I do too. Those are always like those are always good to watch because it shows that it
was definitely one of the best moments of the season.
Yeah, I always enjoy those as well. Yeah, so we get the messages from home, and then we get to this next episode. We get a HOH comp. It was another spot the difference one, like the 1500 one that we were getting. I was like, what is with this season and spotting the difference comps? But unfortunately, Todrick does pull this one out, wins the HOH, and gives us, I think, one of the most obnoxious HOH reigns I think I have ever seen in Big Brother. So the one thing, again, that I don't understand about Miesha and Todrick is that anytime someone wins one comp, not a few, one comp, they're suddenly like their number one target. I just don't understand this mindset. Like, when did Todd Bridges become this like huge threat that's like gonna dominate all of them? Like, I just didn't understand this at all. And again, like I said, I like the fact that Todd was winning comps. I like the fact that Todd at this point wanted to overthrow Miesha and Todrick. But again, I think he should have done this a lot earlier on. I think he should have played the game that Shayna was playing, where he was a lot more just like kind of in the middle and then picking a side. I think that would have benefited him a lot more. But because he never really did that, he never was really able to form anything concrete with anyone aside from Lamar. And I think that's why things ended up the way they did for Todd overall.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, he was one of the more disappointing game players at the start, but then he just kind of waited too late to really start playing. But
yeah, and like I really enjoyed him at the end. Don't get me wrong. I was just kind of like, where has this Todd been all season? Like, I wanted to see more of this Todd that like isn't going to go down without a fight and things like that. I was thinking that too. So yeah, his target at this point is basically Todd. He comes up with this lie that he's going to try to put up like Cynthia and Lamar and things like that. And that's not at all what ends up happening. He does, of course, he then gives us, let's talk about this fucking nomination ceremony. One of the things I've ever seen in Big Brother. I get it.
I will say, this is literally the most obnoxious thing that I've ever seen. And
like, yeah, like I get it. He wanted to like make it his own.
What is he trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I get it. I think he was trying to like in his head, like I think he was trying to like make it fun, like soften the blow a bit and like try to do like a nice little performance and things like that. But the problem is, like, one, this is not a fucking Broadway show. Like, he has to understand
like,
that.
Lamar and Todd were probably like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they were both very weirded out. I also loved when Todd was like making fun of Todrick's like little song that he did. He's like, I'm gonna sing too, like his ass did. I thought that was great. But basically, he parades around and he starts singing, and it was so weird to watch. And especially when you are basically, setting someone's fate in the game, it's not the time to be doing shit like this. Like, it reminded me of like Victor in Big Brother 18, where he gave that speech when he was HOH and nobody understood what he was talking about, when he was like throwing the beads and everyone was like so weirded out. Like, it was like that, but like far worse. At least that was like awkwardly funny. This was just so bad in every way. Like, his singing was terrible. The idea of it was terrible. I just really hated this a lot. I hate that he was in character the entire time. It was just bad. It was really bad all around. I don't really know what he was thinking here at all. And I can't help but think he had what?
It just didn't work at all.
Yeah, and I can't help but think he had the worst possible intentions because Todrick calls a terrible fucking person. But anyway, he does nominate Lamar and Todd here. Predictably, he's not going to try to do anything really that interesting at this point. We do get to the veto, though, and this is where things do get a little bit more interesting. You can see the Todd's like really out for blood. This was the best comp of the season for me. I really liked this comp a lot. Where they have to basically ride this sled of sorts, and they have to try to cross the finish line before the other person does. I really like this comp a lot. I thought I want to see more things like this. I thought it was like very simple. It wasn't too overcomplicated. It wasn't too easy or anything like that. And the best moment comes when Misha deliberately puts Todd against Todrick, thinking Todrick's going to take him out. And Todd ends up beating Todrick here, like the little wave and things like that. It was great. I absolutely
That was iconic.
Yeah, it was a great moment. And Todd ends up winning veto. And it's a great moment again. But again, it came way too late because at this point it's like, yeah, he's safe, but there's still another round happening here. And, I just didn't think that he was going to be able to survive beyond this. But obviously Todrick does decide to put up Cynthia. So now Cynthia or Lamar will be going. At this point, it was kind of a toss-up. Like, I didn't really know who was going to go. I didn't know what they were really going to end up doing. They do decide to, unfortunately, evict really the only hope we have this season in Lamar, who just all around, I think Lamar was a real class act in this game. I've talked about it before, but I think that my phone keeps blowing up. Hold on. Okay.
You froze. What happened here?
Talk about Lamar. Let me fix this.
All right. Sorry, what about Lamar?
Oh, I guess you spaced out. Basically, I was talking about how Lamar does end up going here. Yeah, which was, again, predictable as fuck, the way this played out. I did like that Todrick had to break the tie. That was a little bit more exciting, but
I like the tie. At least it wasn't, like, unanimous, because obviously unanimous votes are just, like, very boring.
Yeah, Todd actually knew that, like, I can't lose Lamar here.
But obviously it sucked having him go, because he was very deserving. And honestly, like, I feel like him and Shayna most deserve America's Favorite Player.
Oh, yeah. And I think all around, like, Lamar was just a real class act. I said, it was very blunt in the game, but he kept it real. He was himself the entire time. And he really surprised me. I thought he was going to come in and he wasn't really going to enjoy the experience, but it seemed like he had a good time. He didn't really say that he'd want to, like, play again. He didn't fully understand everything that was going on in the game, but overall, I thought it was definitely one of the most entertaining characters of the season.
Yeah, he was I think he should definitely be on second chances, because because maybe he'll actually, like, win a comp and, like, make some moves
and understand the game a bit more.
Yeah.
Which I think it's safe.
He was so funny and entertaining.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that was not strategy. I think there were just some things that he just did not fully understand, but it was, like, fun to watch because it's kind of like, I think in a regular season, it could kind of be like a DX situation where he goes in not really knowing a lot and then kind of figures things out as the game goes on. But of course, in a limited season, he's not really given the time to do that. So I do want to see him come back at some point. But overall, I was a big fan of Lamar. I liked what he brought to the season. Definitely enjoyed his presence more than a lot of people on this season, for sure. We get to what is easily, I think, one of the most boring Final Fours we've ever seen in Big Brother at this point. Because at this point, like
this double eviction was probably one of the worst I've seen.
Yeah, like first, like I don't think there was I think what ended up happening is that there wasn't supposed to be a double eviction here. I think when Kattan quit, before he quit, they were probably going to have the eviction like last week. And then they were probably going to do what they normally do, where it's like they go from, and this is the only positive I will give this. I absolutely despise, and like I want to hear your opinion on this. I despise like celebrity Big Brother finales because I hate the idea that they go from 5 to 2. Like I've never enjoyed it. I don't like the format. I don't like that one person leaves and then 2 people leave back to back. It's awkward. It's rushed. I'm not a fan of the structure.
I mean, this one kind of has to be rushed because it's a short season.
They have all been short.
Because CBB is only like a few weeks long.
No, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't like that. I don't like the idea that we go into the finale, there's 5 people, and then we go to 2 people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like that. I feel like it's
I don't either.
It's not very exciting to watch. It feels like the person that leaves in 5th is like it's like the least memorable thing that happens in the finale because they're always moving. I just have never enjoyed it. So I like the fact that they at least have made an attempt to like change it up, make it a bit more organized here. Yeah. But that being said, it was very weird to watch a Final Four as a double eviction. Like that's not something
that was
used
very
to.
odd.
And I just had it just did not really work for me overall.
It just didn't scream Big Brother.
No, it didn't really feel like Big Brother, but a lot of this hasn't felt like Big Brother because these people don't fucking know how to play Big Brother. So, anyway, we get to this comp, and this is the movies comp. This is what I will say about this comp. I think idea-wise, it's a good idea. Like, I like the idea that, they're going through movies and things like that, but this was so fucking easy.
Oh, I know.
Literally, all you had to do was listen. And like as long as you were listening and you weren't like Todd where he got super fucking cocky and like got the first 2 questions right immediately and he just like kind of flew through the rest of them and didn't really and like was hitting the buzzer before they even described like what poster they were talking about. I think as long as you didn't do that.
I will say I like that it was close.
It was somewhat close for a while, and then it very quickly came down to Misha and Todrick. But basically, we get to this point where
Misha and Todd.
Yeah. No, Misha and Todrick. Oh, right. Yeah. Because Todrick was ineligible to play.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say?
But like...
It's about the comp. I figured what I was going to say. Oh, okay. Yeah. As long as you're listening, like, I think it's not a hard comp at all. And I think they could have definitely found ways to make this harder. But it does come down to Misha and really just Misha. Because Todd, like I said, is going strong for a bit. And then he really pitters out once he just, again, I think his confidence really got the best of him here. And Cynthia only ended up getting 1 right from what I remember. She did not do very well in this comp at all. So Misha does once again win HOH. How shocking. The person that's won the most comps of the season ends up winning HOH here. And it was pretty obvious what she was going to do at this point. She puts up Cynthia and Todd. Like, let's move on. There's not much more to talk about. We get to the veto, and this was like our last hope. This was our last hope.
Literally.
Become as boring as like we think it's going to be. we get to a point where basically it's pretty obvious early on that like Cynthia and Todd have not done their homework, and I feel like
Todd just got cocky that he was gonna win anyway.
I wouldn't say what this comp he did, because he deliberately said like, oh, like he didn't know they were supposed to study. Like he admitted that on the feeds.
Well, for the other one.
Yeah, I'm talking about the veto. With the veto comp, like I think Cynthia and Todd, both of them, really should have just like, I think it says a lot about how important like studying comps are and things like that. And like Misha and Todrick knew to do that, and they did not, and that's why they didn't end up winning. Like it sucks, but that's exactly why they did not end up winning this comp here, because they did not take the time to study really anything. So unfortunately, because of that, neither of them really had a chance to win this at all. It was a simple days comp. Like this was not a hard comp. These were not hard questions. Like Carson literally was evicted a week ago. Like this is not that hard to remember. Todrick Miesha ends up winning the veto. It comes down to a tie between her and Todrick. Miesha ends up winning the veto. Todrick now has the opportunity to cast the soul votes. Says some bullshit about how he's going to save Cynthia because he promised Carson that he'd protect her as long as he could. I don't buy this like at all. I think he's just saying that because Cynthia is very much like worshiping Todrick right now. Like a lot of people have said she's probably going to be the only person to vote for him if she's on the jury at the end.
I don't think she'll like him after the season.
Maybe not after the season, but I do see her voting for him just based on what she said.
No, I don't think she'll vote for him. I think if it's Misha versus Todrick, I think she'll probably go for Misha. Just
I don't think so. I think the way
she's like made more moves.
Yeah, but I don't think, again, Cynthia doesn't understand the game, and I think she just likes Todrick more, and I think she's gonna vote for Todrick because of that.
Cynthia has so much potential too, but like her game is frustrating.
She's very bad all around. But basically, Todrick cast the soul vote for Todd to go. It just really unfortunate overall the way this played out, because I really felt like Todd actually had a pretty good narrative heading into the finale. But again, I think he came up short in the fact that throughout the first half of the game, wasn't really doing much, wasn't super involved in a lot of the votes, wasn't really playing the game that much. And then suddenly once he realized, I don't really have many options now, like it's final five, they're going to come after me. That's when he decided to strike. And it was just too late for him to do that. I think his HOH week, he could have made a bigger move and he didn't. And it's just unfortunate that we've gotten here, because I'll be honest, I think this is one of the least deserving final threes I've ever seen in Big Brother. Like, again, I want to reiterate, you can talk about how, Miesha has dominated this game. Miesha's gotten everything she wanted. And to that I say, yeah, but not because of anything she did. It's because of the fact of who she was playing with. She got super lucky this season with the gameplay of basically everyone. A lot of just idiotic moves all around. I mean,
the good news is, at least get a girl winner.
I mean,
because Todrick has no chance.
Todrick squandered any chance of winning votes. Like I would say after Mirai left, like going back as far as to when Mirai left, I think he squandered any chance of receiving votes. And it's only just become worse over time. In terms of what he said, I'm so appalled by his lack of jury management. But I'm also not, because we've recently discovered that Todrick doesn't really watch Big Brother. He's watched 16 and 19. So like the seasons they give them when they're like in sequester before the season starts. And he's very much playing like a Paul type game. And I think he is going to lose as badly, maybe even worse than Paul did.
Yeah, Paul is just not good with the jury.
Yeah, Paul had some of the worst jury management I've ever seen, but I gotta say, I think Todrick's even worse, because at least with Paul, like they were doing it under the guise of like they knew they needed jury management, and so they felt their way to do that was like to lie to everyone about what they were doing, but it came off as like very insincere. Todrick hasn't even attempted any kind of jury management. He's kind of just like given them the worst impression possible as in their way out the door. Like Shayna literally said before she left, like she would never vote for him. There's nothing he can do to get her votes. I don't think he has Carson's vote. Todd literally said, and this was interesting to me because Todd comes out of the house and he says, I think Todrick played the best game. But then Todd goes on Twitter and says, nope, scratch that. I heard some things. I don't want to vote for him anymore.
Yeah, Todd's like tagging people and being like, we need to talk.
Yeah, like you can see he's not even going to vote for him. And this is what I was going to talk about before is like, I think that what we're going to see this season is that things change drastically when you're able to watch the full game versus when you're on a jury and you have a skewed perception of the game. I think we're really going to see that. They all
get their phones back very quick.
Yeah, they do. They do. Because obviously they're going home. They're not going in they don't go in a jury house or anything like that. It's been a very different, and like, it's not like that's unique to this season. Like we've seen it in 1 and 2, but I feel like the jury was a lot more open in that one, mainly because of the fact that, again, they just did not have that blatantly piss poor jury management that Todrick had. And I think because he's displayed such toxic behavior, I think that is going to basically give him zero chance of winning this game. Like, I do see him being that 0 vote finalist. And to be honest, like, I do think that's the best outcome of the season. I want to see Todrick come out of this and just like be so appalled by the fact that people did not like him in this season. He believes that people don't like Shayna. He believes that people don't like he's in for a rude fucking awakening when the season ends. And I think that honestly is the thing I'm most excited to see at this point. I do want to talk about Cynthia's game a bit because, we are talking a bit about the final 3 here. What do you think her overall arc is in this game? Because I'm just kind of at a point where it's like, even if she's against Miesha, I don't really think she wins.
I mean, I feel like she'll just talk about her social game and her connections, maybe things like that. And maybe certain things that she told people to do.
I get that for sure. My problem is that I don't think that she did much in this game. I think she had opportunity to make moves, and I think that she's
done a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, I think the only real thing that she did was get the Mon hat. That's kind of it. That's the only real
Yeah, she could also talk about that and how she kind of used it to her advantage.
But it's also the first round, so I don't really think that's super, super relevant. It was also very much true. They didn't have to give her the hat. They could have easily just not given it to her. So I don't really think that.
Maybe she can talk about that she aligned with the right people.
I don't think she did, because she didn't align with the right people. She burned her allies.
Oh, I know. She ugh.
So again, everything that she could say, I feel like has an asterisk over it, where it's I sort of worked with the right people. I sort of made the right moves. But did she really? No. Yeah. Generally, no. At this point, I don't see anyone winning this game that isn't Miesha. And it sucks because I don't like Miesha. I think she is one of the most uninteresting house guests to ever play this game. She's so dead.
Misha's very bland.
Yeah, she's so dead in the face when it comes to confessionals. She really hasn't had much of an arc, to be honest with you. She doesn't have that much of a story other than I just got everything I want because I was working with idiots.
Her arc is winning comps and being lucky.
Yeah, it's all based on luck. I think if she was with a much different cast that had a lot more knowledge about the game and were a lot more clear-headed, I don't think she'd be here right now. I think we would have had a much different game. And again, I will chalk it all the way back to Shayna's eviction. I want to stem all the way back to that. If Shayna does not get evicted, I do not think these 3, maybe Cynthia, I think Cynthia might be there, but I do not think that Todrick and Miesha would still be there right now. I think they absolutely dropped the ball when it came to when it came to targeting them. And I think that's really the only thing that Miesha has at the end. This she won the most comps. Yes, she was in a pretty strong position, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of flaws with her game. She never really did anything to try to fix that position. She never really did anything to try to improve her positioning in the game to Todrick. She kind of just latched onto Todrick as a shield, but I don't think Todrick was a good shield in this game because nobody was actually going to go after him because they didn't think Todrick had a chance of winning. So I don't think that Todrick overall was a very good ally to, like, I don't think Todrick was a good shield in this game.
He also didn't save her with Veto.
Yeah, that too. Like, so I think there's just a lot of things that don't really make sense. I think about her first HOH week and how badly she mishandled that, which absolutely would have hurt her more had Mirai or Teddi stuck around longer. I think that definitely would have hurt her more.
I mean, I'm not even a Teddi fan, but she's definitely good feeds.
Yeah, she would have been. I think she would have been a much more interesting player than the majority of these people.
I agree.
Overall, I'm kind of
I think, like, personality-wise, all my favorites are, Mirai, Shayna, Kirkpatrick, Carson, Cynthia, and Lamar.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about Cynthia, but I would say the other ones.
I mean, I like Cynthia. She just needs to, like, apologize for something she said or agreed with. But I mean, she is nice overall.
I just wanted more from her. I wanted more from her. Like, nice is not good enough for me. I need more from her.
And no. I meant, like, personality-wise.
Sure. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Cynthia at all. But
I mean, you loved her preseason and at the start.
I did. And then she made some really boneheaded moves, and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck?
Oh, I know.
Like, again, I think she's also only there because of luck. Mm-hmm. Only there because of luck. She's there because, like, that's why she's there. So yeah, overall, I just I don't have a lot of hope going into this finale. We didn't talk about the fact the finale is only an hour long, which I've never seen Big Brother do before.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I assume it's just going to be like one part for the HOH because
either that or they're going to be like really, really fast, or maybe they'll.
No, I don't think so. How would they be able to do part 1, part 2, part 3, the jury questions, and the winner reveal all in one episode?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless it just says an hour, but it's longer.
It's definitely not. Amazing Race is on afterwards.
Oh, yeah. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't really know how they're going to do that. I think it's just going to be one part because the other Celebrity Big Brother seasons, it's only been one part. I will say I'm very happy that this is a miracle. This is the only thing I'm happy about. We don't have to get the terrible final four competition where you have that fucking like 6-minute thing with all the jurors. It's terrible every single season in Celebrity Big Brother. I've hated both of them. I like 2's a little bit more because it wasn't people texting on the phone. They at least tried to do something different with that. But I'm glad that we're not going to have to see anything like that heading into this finale because I really despise that competition a lot. It's very boring to watch. I think it holds a lot of momentum. Also, America is voting, because Kattan quit the game. America will be voting. They're basically pulling a Big Brother 11. Yeah. I don't care. Like, I'm not even going to vote because I don't care at this point. I mean,
if it's say it's Misha versus Cynthia, vote for Cynthia. If it's Misha versus Todrick, vote for Misha. If it's Cynthia versus Todrick, vote for Cynthia.
See, I don't see Cynthia making it. Like, she hasn't won a single comp.
I mean, unless she'll win this comp, who knows?
She hasn't won a single comp.
We'll see.
Like, I think she had opportunities and it didn't happen. So I don't see.
But hasn't she come close?
Not really.
Sort of.
No, I wouldn't say she's come close.
Wasn't she one of the last people in the first one?
Was she? No, she wasn't.
I'm trying to remember.
It was her, Mirai, and Teddi. It was Misha, Mirai, and Teddi.
I swear I thought No. I thought Cynthia was like one of those last people, like before them.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how this finale plays out. I'm kind of just ready for this to wrap up. Let's get into BB Can 10. That's what we need to be excited about.
We're going to be talking about BB Can, Survivor, and Beyond the Edge.
Yeah, I'm much more excited for those at this point because this has just been a huge disappointment on all fronts. It didn't have to go this way, guys. It really didn't. Like, there were opportunities for this to be good. There were opportunities for this to be a more interesting season, but I think because of the horrible boot order all around, and I also think because of just a lot of the just terrible gameplay from a lot of these people. And you know me, like, I don't usually complain about terrible gameplay if it's fun. This isn't fun. Like, generally, this has not been fun to watch because a lot of these people just are very boring and they don't understand the game. So yeah, overall, I just have not really been big into this season. I don't think the finale really has any chance of saving it, but we'll have to see. Like, I don't think it has, especially because they only have an hour. They can't even drag Todrick to the extent that we really want them to. Like,
They'll probably drag him after the season.
Yeah, honestly, they probably will because they don't have a time to do a Big Brother 21 style finale where like you have like Jackson in the final two and he's being dragged like on air. Like, they're not going to have a chance to do something like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I wish they did.
I don't really have high hopes for the finale, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyway, before we do wrap things up here, Ellie, is there anything you want to say before we end this?
Well, I mean, the only thing I'm going to say is that I'm pretty sure we're going to have at least a girl winner. So
that's
a plus.
That's happening no matter what.
I mean, both of them are not really the greatest winners, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Also, vote Shayna for AFP. Vote Shayna. Yeah. I've been voting for her every single day. I'm excited to see her hopefully win this.
Yes, vote her.
Yes, I voted correctly for AFP in the last couple seasons, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye.